The city of Pensacola Hills is asking for an extension of its TIF year 175th. This TIF was created in 2008 based on the direction of the committee. A motion is needed to consider the extension of the Country Club Hills.
Because I like actually accounting is my favorite class. So that's good because that's gonna be my major. So
This would be the consider extension.
I'd just like to make a statement to explain why we're running TIF extensions. TIFs are originally created by municipalities without the consent of other taxing bodies. A TIF is designed to increase property values in blighted areas. For 23 years, the taxing bodies serving the TIF area received the same amount of property taxes that they were receiving when the TIF began. As the value of the property grows, the additional property tax money is put into a TIF fund that the municipality can spend on improvements. At the end of 23 years, the taxing bodies begin receiving the new amount of property tax, which should be higher if the TIF worked. Tonight we have two communities asking to have their TIFs extended for an additional 12 years. A TIF extension cannot be granted unless all taxing bodies agree. Country Club Hills is asking for a TIF extension for the vacant property along Cicero from 167th to 175th. The original TIF started in 2008. At the end of 9 years, there is $75 in the TIF pot, demonstrating that the TIF did not work and our district didn't really lose any property taxes. The city is currently working with a developer to bring in distribution warehouses. The TIF extension money would be used to bring water, sewer, and roads to this property. It appears likely that the value of the property will increase if this work is done. If the TIF is not extended, the value of the undeveloped, vacant property will most likely stay the same. I believe that granting this extension will most likely increase the value of the property and therefore the amount of property taxes that our district will receive. Yeah. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
I
Mrs. Gleason, aye. Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Campworth? Mrs. Ressler?
Aye.
Mrs. Stern? Aye.
Item 13.2 is proposed TIF extension for Posen. The village of Posen is asking the board to consider an extension of the Posen TIF number 1. This TIF was created in 1995 and is set to expire next year. Based on the direction of the committee of the whole, a motion is needed to consider the extension of the Posen TIF number 1.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
In contrast, over the past 22 years, the Posen TIF has worked. Property values increased by more than $5 million, which produced $11.2 million in property taxes that went into the TIF fund. This money has been used over the past 22 years to make improvements in the village of Posen. District 228 has given up $4.2 million in tax revenue over the past 22 years to this TIF. Posen is asking us to give up an additional $3.2 million over the next 12 years so that they can build a water tower. I don't believe a water tower will increase the property values enough so that we could recover over $7.4 million in property taxes. While I would like to be a good neighbor to Posen, I have to do what is best for all the taxpayers in our district.
In contrast to that, in all due respect, Posen is the older city, and I would imagine that the people of Posen, taxpayers, since 1953 have contributed way more than $7 million to the stability of this school district. We owe the people of Posen opportunity to upgrade their infrastructure. And probably every city is gonna probably need at some point in time. So giving them this money, the TIF money out there, once it's over with after the 12 years, they're gonna still be contributing as a taxing body to the District of 228. And that's why we should be voting for this TIF fund for their extension.
How long do you think it's going to take us to recover $7 million?
Not long. Not long. What's gonna happen is companies could leave his, and go somewhere else. He has a company in there that said, what, $25 million company in that area over there? I mean, imagine if we lost that forever. But that's just my opinion.
Just one couple of quick comments. I'm in and out of Posen on a daily basis by working for the township. Posen is hurting, just like many other communities in the area. We have to look long-term. You know, if we don't support this now, and we do lose businesses out of that community, that doesn't bode good for our district by what could possibly be coming in to our district. I know there has been a, for lack of a better word, regime change. I know there's a new mayor, there's some new trustees. You know, I've done some homework on this, obviously, because it's a very important vote for our district. And many of you in here know I don't want to give up a penny for our district. You know, we deserve every penny we can get for the education of our kids, and I understand that. But between that rock and a hard place where I think we all are right now with this vote, I'm just going to say, by doing my homework, I really believe in these people that have come into office and they really want to make good changes for Posen. So I just wanted to add that to the discussion.
I don't disagree with that point. I do feel firmly that there is, that new leadership there. But knowing that we have a $50 million construction bond that we just took on, we have a deficit that we're trying to reduce. I think we have to be cognizant, though, of, what we're doing to the taxpayers of the entire district, not just one municipality or anything like that. So some of the facts that I took away from that meeting was I understood that the water pressure was an issue, but as far as sprinklers were concerned, they were still up to code. And on top of that, the firefighters were still able to perform exponentially, I think is what the word was. So knowing that these two factors are still there, I am not seeing, that those are just some takeaways that I took away from it also and say to help with my vote.
I think, I don't know, maybe I misunderstood it, because I understood it that fire suppression with the sprinklers was not up to code, because that was the whole reason behind this, is because they needed the extra pressure for the sprinklers to work. Is that correct?
That was a specific question that we asked.
Yeah, he
because
said
it was
you're right,
still
that
up to
the
code.
sprinklers didn't work.
Well, then that's different than what was said last week, because
So-
it was confirmed last week that it was up to code.
And that's my fear too. I'm typically not a fan of these, because we grant these and then the communities don't ever seem to do anything with them. Like this one has been in place for 22 years, but we can't follow the current leadership there, or somebody else previously not doing it. And my fear is too, if this isn't, the improvements aren't made, businesses leave, then we're getting less than we're getting now, or not getting now. There'll be even less of that. So instead of the 7 million, what will it be then?
And you know what, these businesses, Debbie, they are close to Indiana, obviously. It's a hop, skip, and a jump to get into Indiana. And we all know by the news reports that Illinois is losing big business because of certain things here. Obviously the taxes being one of them. So it's a hop, skip, and a jump for those people that just say bye-bye. And then we will lose.
I want to help, I would like to help proposing, you can see that the mayor's already done quite a bit, what he has with this tip, and it has been, great strides in a small amount of time. I'm like in between a rock and a hard place here. I want to help. I'm trying to make sure that the taxpayers are taken care of, and the student, what benefits it has for all. So that's the big picture, basically. I really want to help. I really want to help. But I have a concern of has all the things being cost.
As we understand it, that if they find other ways of funding the project, he's going to give the money back. Is that correct?
That's not in the contract. That was included in the package. Am I correct? That is not in the contract?
The mayor expressed interest in considering that at the time when it was appropriate. That's a very gray area right now. We don't know what that means or what that was.
I think it's a great gesture,
But he
but
did-
that's what it is.
We did
have to.
gesture.
But it isn't in the contract, which we're designing.
But, again, nobody has a crystal ball. There is new leadership there. I don't know them personally, but I do know by doing some homework that they're aggressively attacking their problems to make Posen a more viable town to live in. And geez, how can't you support that?
Because it might bring more businesses in,
Right.
and therefore we recover the money.
And you won't recover it for 12 years.
Like you
But the
said, we don't
school
have a
district
crystal
is
ball.
planning on being here forever.
We don't have a crystal ball. I too have felt stuck between a rock and a hard place on this, and while I was unable to attend the meeting, I did watch the video. And while I don't particularly see our district lose potential funds, and again, we don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know the exact amount. But I do see that there is a regime now that wants to fix their community. And then they're working hard at it, and apparently maybe this has all been stagnant for a while, and now people are willing to step up and move forward, and they feed into our district, their businesses are going to help our district thrive. So it is a tough decision.
I want to ask y'all something. Our district didn't have its TIF money, and we reduced our deficit without it. So what is the problem?
Well,
And if we get the money that the state owes us, we will be deficit free.
Which we haven't gotten a dime of halfway through our budget.
But you know
And the
what?
governor has now vetoed.
And we
a
still
portion of the
reduced
funding.
our debt. Give
That's-
these people the money.
That's
Let's
correct,
not
Mark,
be
but
worried.
we also have a $50 million debt.
That the taxpayers of Holden is gonna help pay back.
As well as the other 6 communities.
Exactly.
Right. But it is a debt.
It is a debt.
And
that's,
as
you
we
know,
build these 4 buildings, we don't know if everything's gonna come in on budget, we don't know.
Yeah, but we didn't have a crystal ball when we all sat down and approved these projects neither. We didn't know, well, we did know that the TIF was coming to expire. So
We
I
did,
know.
I didn't. You keep track of when the TIFs expire?
There's a date on it.
Did you know this TIF went in?
No, and that's my point. That's my point.
I didn't
When
know.
we were discussing field houses and all these great things that I love for our school district, maybe we should have gotten some information on that as well. We got X amount of TIFs going to expire. How does this play into our budgets down the road? Because now we have to not only build these field houses, we have to heat them, we have to cool them, we have to staff them, we have, so that maybe, hindsight's 20/20.
But I think we did factor, we were aware of those things that were coming up. And
Were
we
they?
didn't
I
have-
never heard it.
Maybe we didn't have a crystal ball at the time, but I think knowing that we had a definitive number of dollars that were coming in,
Right.
we were able to make those decisions. This isn't definitive because we're not getting it.
So, I don't know who to present this to, maybe you guys. Brittany. You know, with maybe losing this $3 million over 12 years, does this go back to the taxpayers? Because we did a big push in saying the taxpayers are going to, their tax rate's going to be lowered, they're going to save money. Where does this put us if we say, okay, we're going to be okay with extending the TIF and losing $3 million?
We made this decision to do those buildings not considering this money as far as, because we're not getting it now. So why are now we going to say we need to pay for the building?
That's my whole point. That's my whole point.
A $285,000 opportunity for money coming into the district. It wasn't factored in as a deciding issue on what we're doing. So,
Okay.
out of our budget, we have a $90 million budget. We're talking about $285,000 a year. The
To support
3.3
the
is a
extension of the TIF.
is a 12-year total, so.
Right, so, I mean, that's a drop in the bucket. $285,000.
$285,000.
Well, every penny counts, right? Every penny counts, right?
And we've already said that the buildings don't include what we need to put in.
But $285,000 versus what this village would lose is, we have no idea what this $25 million company that pays taxes in that community would, how much harm is that going to do?
Well, they're just not going to improve their infrastructure if it's not improved.
But you know
You know,
what?
and their infrastructure, you know, Posen's been around, geez, I'm not an expert on Posen, but I
We
got.
want to flip this shit on our hands because we, out of all the tax advice, we would be the only one that tells them no.
See, I'm not going to be fully into a decision because I don't know how this is going to impact or not impact the other taxing bodies. I'm
Right.
concerned about how it's
Right.
impacting us.
Yes.
So I don't care if
How we
13
look, right, either way,
Yeah.
that shouldn't play into the fact.
Right. Exactly.
Just call it off.
Okay.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Gleason, no? Mrs. Jones?
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Camworth?
Aye.
Mrs. Ressler?
No.
Mrs. Stearns?
Aye. Motion carries. Our note. As follows, teaching and learning leave, February 13th, 6:30 to Ed Center, followed by 7. Our next board meeting will be February 20th, 7 p.m. at Hillcrest High School. We have a motion to adjourn.
Before we adjourn, please. Can you find out how many minorities are working for these companies?
I usually call
So, the bids are.
Owners or employees?
The owners. So we'll have to do some research on employees.
You're employees, not owners.
Owners or
Yeah, does the owners have minorities working for them? Employees working for them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I'm for second.
Second.
Canning. Jones, all in favor, aye.
Aye.